All right, we're back. Episode number 228 of the Minding Your Business podcast, entrepreneurship, real estate, trending news. There's no business like minding your own. Here, December the 4th of 2020. I'm your host, Champ Ron. Hope that you had a tremendous day, tremendous week, tremendous month as we're getting started here in December, the last month of 2020. A whole lot going on, just to say the least. I'm getting notifications and stuff going on all the time. I'm certain you are as well. Subscribe to the podcast, five star, wherever you get your pods. That helps us continue to grow the MYB community. And of course, you can connect with me at champronbrooks.com. We're going to get into demystifying 2021 and how to plan for 2021. In a year of 2020 that has been of gross uncertainty, right, to say the least. What I want to do today, my purpose of coming to you today is to discuss and kind of share with you what I'm looking forward to for 2021, even in the midst of all the uncertainty, right? In the midst of everything that's going on, that much of it, many of us don't have the control that we may like to have, right? There are certain things that we'd like to have control over that, unfortunately, right now we don't. And the question could be, did we ever? And I'll address that here as well. We're brought to you by The Binge. You know, one thing I haven't done over the last few episodes is really shout out the Binge Podcast Network and my guy, Dominic Lawson, with the Startup Life and, everybody that's part of the lineup with The Binge. I don't do that as often, well, at least recently, as I should. And so I want to make sure I took time out to do just that. So thank you to those brothers and those sisters who participate in the Binge Podcast Network. So shout out to all of you that are on Facebook Live, all of you that are in the Minding Your Business Facebook group, those of you that are on Instagram Live. Thank you so much for those who have joined me there as well. So I appreciate all of you jumping in and participating with this. 5 things I want to jump into as we talk about preparing for 2021. All right. So this year has been, for many, I was talking to my brother earlier. This has been, I think, without saying, a challenging year for many on personal notes as well as on professional notes. I think that goes without saying. All right. Many people have been impacted in a myriad of different ways by the pandemic, whether that's with loss of life, whether that is with just the impact of the sickness, there's the impact of the entire environment. You know, we could spend a whole lot of time going through all the ups and downs that this year has brought. All right, I'm here to tell you that 2021 is not going to be much different environment-wise, right? Hopefully it's much different in terms of the impact and some of the losses and things like that. And then hopefully it's the same for those of you where 2020 has been a tremendous gain and you've realized tremendous opportunity as it relates to 2020. But 2021 is not going to be much different. Early on, it's going to feel a lot like it does right now today. You're going to have the pandemic still going on. Who knows where things are going to be in regards to a vaccine and all that type of thing. And really, hell, you know, everybody that I'm talking to is saying they're not going to take the vaccine. That's certainly not the first round of it. So that definitely equates to things kind of continuing on for some time. You'll get a vaccine, and if it's not something that government's going to come in and require everyone to just take, which I don't think that's going to be true or really even possible. If that's not the case, then you're going to have a huge section of the population that's not going to take the vaccine. And so a lot of things are going to just continue on. And everybody's got their reasons for that. I being one of them, that who's got my reasons for not engaging with the vaccine. Certainly not the initial round of it. And so, with all those things being said, 2021 is not shaping up to be this grossly, January. We're not going to get here January 1st, MYB, and then all of a sudden all our problems go away and the clouds open up, the sun shines, and we go back to how we might have been conducting ourselves in 2019. Okay, that's not going to magically change January 1st or January 2nd. All right. So I have 5 things that I want to discuss and go through that I've taken some time to kind of look at, for myself personally and professionally, and with those of you that I've spoken with recently, as we engage that topic of, what does 2021 look, feel, and sound like, what can we expect, coming off a year with many things that weren't expected, right? Many things that were completely unexpected that took place here in 2020. We just, you don't know, right? What we do know is there are certain pillars that are going to be, kind of fundamentally true, y'all, no matter what is going on, right? No matter what the status of things like the pandemic, the economic impact that the pandemic has had and may continue to have. There's some things that are going to that we all need to be mindful and cognizant of. So that's what I want to share with you all. All right. Number 1 is budgeting. All right. Number 1 is budgeting. So when you say budgeting, you got to think about, what does that mean? Think about this personally and professionally, and think about what I'm talking about beyond money, right? Because we often think first when we think of budgeting or setting a budget, we often think just about money, right? And that's one aspect. But and with the other 4 areas that I'm going to cover, think about them beyond just on the surface, right? Think about them beyond just the literal sense. Okay. All right. Budgeting is essential, whether there's a pandemic or not, right? You have to be a lord of your land. And when you make money, no matter how you make your money, right? No matter what you do to make your money, whether you're in business, you're not in business, that doesn't matter. That's irrelevant to this conversation. All right. When you create a budget, what you're doing is you're creating a plan for every dollar. All right. Every dollar that you pick up. So we'll talk about money right now, and then I'll put this beyond money. But when you talk about your money, you have a budget is a plan for what you're doing with a resource. All right. So 2020 was very turbulent in the sense that many had to make cuts, maybe on the fly, things that you were planning to do or wanted to do that you're not able to do, right? That came as a result of the pandemic. But one of the things you have to look at to help create some level of ability to plan, right, is create a budget. So look at your finances, look at your emotional currency that you spend, right, with other people. And we're going to get into that more. But look at, how you're utilizing your resources. What do you invest in? And look at what you're doing and critically think through, how you're going to have a plan for not just for your money in your budget, but you have to budget your energy. You have to budget your time, right? You have to budget your talent. You won't be everything to everybody. All right. So don't try to be, don't feel guilty about finding success in 2020. Particularly, for many of you that have worked extremely hard to be in position from things that you did, 2019 and even before then, and decisions and choices that you made. But budgeting goes beyond money. It goes into what I'm talking about is budget your money, yes, but budget your time, right? Things that you're spending time on. Do you need to continue to spend time on? People that you're spending time on or with. Critically think through, is that the best use of that time? The emotional investment that you make and oftentimes in other things and other people. People ask me, Ron, how do you do all the different things that you do? I see you doing this. I see you doing that. I see you involved with this. I see you find success in certain things. And so then I'm asked, how am I able to do that? All right. And my simple answer is just that I budget. And when I say that, people tend to come back and say they think I'm talking about money, right? They think I'm talking about, and sometimes I get those crazy looks like, dude, what are you talking about? And it's not about just money. That's something that you sit down within your household and you look at, but I budget my emotional energy. Like, what do I spend time on? Right. So for example, I don't have time to um, sit on the phone and sit in group chats and, be in people's inboxes, engaging in conversation that's not about the progression of what I'm trying to do or not about the goals that I'm trying to reach. So I can't say on one hand that I want to reach this goal and I want to be able to do this, but then on the other hand, I spend a bunch of time, engaging people in nonsense and foolishness and gossip and, who's doing what and who's doing what with who and all this type of stuff. I don't make time for that. I don't like to be a garbage can or a dumping ground with anybody. All right. With anybody. So I don't make time for that. I don't make time for a ton of entertainment stuff. Right. I don't know all the shows on Netflix. You know what I mean? I don't know all this because, again, I budget my time for the things that are important to me right now, which is at the top of that is family, with my wife, with my daughters. And then that extends into my extended family to a large extent. And then what I have to do every day from a business standpoint, what I have to be able to do, what I have to engage, what do I have to prospect for? What do I have closing? Which I'll get into more of this as we go on too. But that's what it's about. Okay. So that's what I budget for. So when I create a budget for 2021, it's not just about money, right? It's not about just what's coming in and out of your checking account. Budget your time, budget your energy, budget your priorities. All right. So no, you can't call me and say, did you see this show on Netflix or on Disney Plus or what? Because likely I probably haven't because I budget that time for something else or other things. Okay. And that is what it is. I budget it for other things. Right. That's what I choose to invest in. So yes, do I miss out on being able to talk to my friends and buddies and, those type of things about different shows, or I don't even see every sporting event anymore. I'm a huge football guy, huge basketball, huge sports guy. Grew up playing it all into my early 20s competitively. But I don't I love the Lakers. Lakers won the championship this year. Didn't hit me the same. I didn't, obviously there was changes in the format and I love the bubble concept that they did down in Orlando for the NBA. But I didn't feel compelled to have to watch every game and every moment, right? It's just different. It hits me different now. You dig? It hits me different because I budgeted that time for something else. So yes, I miss seeing the moments of the Lakers going through their championship run. I didn't sit and watch every second of every game because at some point, when the game was on, I was working on something else that I had budgeted that time and those emotions into the things that I told you earlier. Myself. And how do I spend time training and edifying myself, building on my skill set? Because this year's been different. I haven't traveled much for business like many of you. Maybe you have, but I haven't. I haven't traveled since March. I don't go into many stores and things like that. I haven't done much in terms of that outreach like that. So things have been impacted. So the way I have to go about building relationships in my business, I have to budget time into things that are a little different, a little bit different format. Now, I was a Zoom guy before the pandemic, like many of you. So that wasn't a huge transition for me. I was used to being able to use the virtual tools. So that was somewhat actually right up my alley. But in my industry in banking, that was a little bit sometimes slower to adopt in some instances. And so it took time to get that, kind of flowing. And I'm still in the midst of doing that. But number one was, like you say, budgeting. Budget your, not just your money. And all that is just a plan of designating where dollars go. What do you want to accomplish? And then what are the dollars in that sense that it takes to accomplish it? And then how are you routing that to the areas that you want to? Every dollar in your checking account, if you're sitting there and you've got $5,000 in your checking account, or you got $10 in your checking account, each one of those dollars is like an employee for you. They should be working for you. They should be doing something, right? None of you would ever hire somebody, pay them, and just have them sit around doing nothing. None of you would, because none of you, all you know about working, that you're not allowed to do that. Certainly not for any length of time, right? So every dollar should be doing that. The same with your emotion. Your emotional status, every part of your emotion should be invested into something. To start with, and then it should be invested in something that brings you joy, brings you happiness. Okay? If it doesn't, cut it out your budget in 2021. I'm telling you right now, cut it out your budget. 2021 is not going to be a year for playing. It's not going to be a year for cap. It's not going to be a year for cap and gown unless you graduate in school. All right. So budget. I'm telling you right now, next year is going to be changing out the president and the vice president. That's cool if you agree with that. Whether you do or not or don't, your life's going to be your life. Okay, sitting around hoping and praying for a vaccine that most of y'all not gonna take no way ain't gonna move the needle. All right, so just like the common cold and the flu have been around with us, and nobody's come up with a vaccine for it yet because it's too costly. Right, we live with it. Right, that's likely how this is going to be. It'll become less deadly with a vaccine, but we're going to live with it for a while. All right. For you, all of us as individuals, this is why I'm sharing this information. Okay. And you may agree or disagree. You can let me know, Ron at themybpodcast.com. What's up, Sax Lady? So, all right. So budget is number one. Number two is flexibility. And boy, don't we know this from this year, from 2020, being flexible, adaptable, agile, all the buzzwords that we've used throughout 2020. As the pandemic was a onslaught here in America, certainly by March. All right. It's critical that you're flexible and you have an ability to adapt. One of the things that's challenged the business community, and those of you that listen to this podcast, you've heard me talk with many guests, and I've always asked them this question, right? Just about all this year, what's been the impact of the pandemic on you and your business? And you've heard all kinds of different responses from the folks that I've had as guests on this podcast throughout this year. Because keep in mind, I haven't done many solo podcasts this year. It's been filled with a lot of guests because a lot of people are available. A lot of people are working from home, working remotely. And I'm going to talk more about that because that goes along with this flexibility. 2020 forced flexibility on many people, many businesses, many business leaders. Folks who may not have been open to remote work now are. They've had to experience it for 7, 8, 9 months. It's created a divide from those folks that have more white collar work that can, and white collar business that can work from home or work remotely. And then those that their job function doesn't allow for that. Right. 2021 is going to be require more flexibility, more adaptability. The business owners that have been able to be flexible and be agile and not be rooted in being dogmatic with what happened yesterday. Now, hear me on this. Many business owners, not just business owners, people who have dogmatic mentalities, right? They get stuck in what we've always done. And this is the way we've always done it. And this is who we've always done it with. And this is who we've always done it for. And that got challenged this year. And it's going to continue to be challenged in 2021. One of the things that'll help us all is that mindset of understanding that The environment's going to change and it's going to evolve quickly, right? Different things are going to come at us all, and that ability to remain adaptable. And part of that is having the mindset, right? To view whether it's obstacles or changes as opportunities and not just, solely something to stop you or to impede your progress. And we've all run into that, in many different forms, many different shapes. But I encourage us, and one of the things that I'm looking at, even for myself is, how do you remain flexible? How do you develop multiple and embrace, cultivating multiple skill sets, right? And that flexibility and that adaptability and being agile, it's going to be difficult, not to say you not be a specialist. You want to have everything kind of under your umbrella so that it makes sense, right? However, within that, you've got to be able to adapt. You've got to have this focus on being agile and not be fearful to take on something that may be new. As we've seen, industries have been hit from things going on. It just brought it escalated things that were probably on its way to happen with certain industries. The pandemic just brought that. It just, it sped it up a little bit. All right. So now people have had to adapt and they've had to adjust, albeit quickly. All right. 2021. Again, I've got no crystal ball. I'm sharing with you things that I'm going to be working on, and I'm just sharing them with you, and you may consider working on. But consider being flexible on your job. If you're asked to do maybe something that's a little bit outside your scope, your job scope, your job function, look how you can incorporate that and document that. It can benefit you down the line. All right. In your business, being flexible, you may have to use different tools. You may have to approach your clients, your customers, your prospects, maybe a little differently. Maybe they have an impact that now you have to be flexible with payment terms, with the speed of delivery of services and products and things like that. To the extent that you can be, right? Don't do that. Remember my budget, right? From number one, don't over budget, right? For people that constantly want you to change and evolve to fit them. But, be flexible and in that flexibility, look to be creative. And I think those are the things that are going to help as we go into 2021. But again, I'm going to tell y'all again, if you think that January 1st at 12:01, after the balls dropped in New York, that all of a sudden COVID's just going to walk away, it's going to take his ball and go home. And all of a sudden, the new president is going to walk in towards the end of January and it's going to change all of this. No, ma'am, no, sir. 2021 can be a booger bear as well. However, if you focus in on the things that you can control, which is what I'm talking about today, I think it's going to position us well into 2021. All right. Number 3 is, and this is often a sales, kind of term, that sort of thing, but it's your pipeline. All right. Let me talk about that personally and professionally. All right. Your pipeline. It's what are you working on? What are you building towards? Right? What do you have in the pipeline? Again, it's a sales term we talk about as you progress opportunities through, the pipeline, from how you get introduced to someone to how you present your products and services, how you evaluate needs and wants, and how do you position opportunities and proposals, how you get commitments to those, and then ultimately how you close those, reassess those, and continue to build relationships. Just how you move through whatever your pipeline looks like. All right. From a personal standpoint, where are your opportunities, right? What, again, what's in your pipeline that you're working towards? Are you working towards new training, new development. Maybe you're looking to go in somewhat of a different direction in your life. Personally, what do you look for? What's in your pipeline? You know, when you want certain qualities in people, what and who is in your pipeline, right? Who are you connecting with? Think of it from an HR standpoint. In your pipeline, how are you connecting with top talent? How are you connecting with top talent? That's not just in your business. How are you doing that personally? All right. Aggressive recruiting. You know what I mean? Like how are you connecting for yourself personally? So again, go back to what I've said earlier. How are you budgeting your time? Right. And are you flexible? That goes into your pipeline. So if you're needing to change the circle that you're in, huh? Then what's in your pipeline? Who are you going to change that out with? If you're working with your customers or your prospects, what are you doing to move the needle? What differentiates you, and what are you doing to move the needle? All right, that's managing your pipeline, because the marketplace is going to become. It's already ultra competitive, and it's going to become more competitive, personally and professionally. All right. And you want to be able to have your pick of opportunity. And so you got to work your pipeline every day, work your pipeline. And it's all about, again, what do you want to go back to number one? What do you want to budget your time with, MYB? What do you want? And then what are you going to be your behaviors to get there? So if you want something bad enough and you have a tenacious focus towards it, you're going to pursue it. You're going to pursue it. My wife and I have been married. It'll be 14 years, June the 23rd of 2021. 14 years. I still, to this day, I hate to see her go, even when she's going for work. I hate to see her go and drive off. And I love when she pulls into the driveway. To this day, almost 14 years. And that's not counting, the time of dating and all this type of thing and being engaged. I still have that feeling. You know what I mean? And I still want to build up that pipeline of things I want to do for her, things I want to do for my girls, not just superficial, right? But it's the time and energy that I give, what I budget, right? And I look at that budget of, what did I bring, what did I take in? What did I give, right? It's the same mentality. It's the same mindset. What was my engagement? How enthusiastic was I? How do we grow as a family? And those things get challenged. Like I said, this year's challenged, even some of those things. Right? But it's always looking to get better. And you do that, like you say, through, you build your pipeline. How are you doing what's actually number 4, which is how are you engaging? Right? 2021 is going to be a year where we're going to have to engage personally and professionally. Keep in mind, we spent a whole year learning new terms, social distancing, quarantining, all that type of stuff. Those are going to continue a lot into 2021. One of the things that differentiates you as an individual and or in your business is your ability to engage and engage on a personal level, creatively, storytelling, right? How are you engaging? How do you engage your family? Are you whining and griping and complaining all the time about this and that? The pandemic, this, the coronavirus, that, mask, this, no mask, all this. Are you always whining and complaining? Are you sitting around stewing about yesterday's shortcomings from somebody else? Not your own, of course, but somebody else's. Are you holding grudges? It amazes me how people could just sit and just hold a grudge for just, They can't even remember what it was about. They've been holding it so long. How are you engaging? Challenge yourself on that. How are you engaging? You holding a grudge, you in somebody's service every Sunday and you hold a grudge every day. You read verse after verse. You listen to spiritual music. And then you say, and then after all that, none of that compels you to come back and, you know what I mean? Change your engagement. You want to try to find some success opportunities in 2021. It's going to come from your ability to engage personally. It's going to be people focused in your business, not about you whining and griping about what someone did or didn't do. You're not doing that for yourself, at least not openly and publicly. So engage. How do you do that? You work with people that can help you engage. There's legit people now. I'm not talking about, someone who just got bird wings yesterday and think they could fly. I'm talking about, you have to partner. Again, that's part of your engagement. One of the things that I want to work to do and do better of is that engagement. I was sharing with a business colleague just the other day about, how I want to do a better job of not just supporting small business or supporting Black business, or brown business, whatever you want to call it. But engaging it till we can, it goes beyond just being transactional. I need to engage better. And not just, for it to be transactional like we do sometimes with food and things like that. We're very transactional to satisfy, cravings and things like that. But we got to find a way to engage and partner much better to where we can be resources to each other and help each other grow. Void of the ego, void of, whose names go be on the front of it, void of who's going to get the accolades and the comments and the shares and the likes and all that other stuff that have come over the years to mess with our psyches. But engagement, not just on social media, but in real life. So think about how you engage, and how we all can engage better. But that's going to be a key to 2021. Leaders and corporations, how are you engaging your people? If you're in management, how are you engaging? Do you have an empathetic view towards your people? Do you understand what makes them tick? Do you understand what they care about? Which goes beyond the spreadsheet, goes beyond the software that produces the reports and all that type of stuff. Do you understand the people? Number 5, my last one is positioning. So all this comes down to, how do you position yourself? Sure, it's a competitive landscape out there, but that's one thing. I've told y'all several times, competing is not about me versus the person, across from me. What's up, Erica? It's not about that. Because I only compete with Champ Ron Brooks. So that's all I compete with. The only person I compete with. I don't compete against other business owners, other podcasters, no. Mm-mm. That's all. The only person I compete against, right? So how are you positioning myself then? So I only position myself against myself. Because that's the only person that I can measure with. I can't measure with another man or another woman. You can view and see how you might, in terms of the layout and the impact, to quantify that. But in terms of competing to be better, I do that within. And I encourage you all, MYB, to do that within. But positioning, what are you doing? How are you? So from a business standpoint, you position by, conducting or have conducted for you by experts the market research, understanding the data, where there are gaps in the market and where there are opportunities for your business. Notice how that works personally. When you're positioning yourself, you want to position yourself better in your relationship. You have to know the information, and then can you act on that information? So what time are you spending with your partner? Are you understanding them as they evolve? One of the toughest things for people in marriages is, you get married at one point in time, a snapshot in time, but marriage is an evolution. It's a growth. It's a journey evolution. I'm no expert on this. I'll tell you what I know, but I'm no expert. In my experience, it's a journey, right? Working with a customer or prospect, that's a journey, right? Every prospect that you engage in begins a journey. That's one of the beautiful things about business. It begins a new journey every time. You get a warm referral, you purchase a lead that comes through. Once you get that initial conversation, you've embarked on a new journey. So then now, how are you going to position yourself to be successful? If you find yourself having extra savings, a little bit extra money, invest in yourself. Invest in your training, invest in your development. You want to position yourself better in your relationship? Have that dial. Listen in your relationships. Spend time, quality time. Discuss, what you like to see, things you like to be able to do in the future, what you want to accomplish. Have things that you do together where everything's not separate, going on in separate rooms, a separate thing. But, and don't operate in fear. Don't do it out of the fear of this might happen or what negative can happen. Do it for the possibility. See, some of y'all, with business relationships and personal, you have a lot of things are rooted in the fear. Well, if I don't do it, this person's going to go do that. If I don't do, this in my business, if I don't give a discount, then I won't get my sales. And it's not about either one. It's about positioning. I got to compete, Ron, because I got, these other folks are going to be doing this and doing that, and then I got to have mine. Position yourself. Become more knowledgeable. Challenge, the areas where you may have fear. If you're challenged with the fear of public speaking, work on that. If you're fearful of showing affection to your spouse, work on that. If you're still harboring, bitterness from 2001 or 1993, whatever it is, work on that. But it's about positioning. So to summarize this all up, number 1 was budgeting. Number 2, flexibility. Number 3, pipeline. Number 4, engage. And number 5, position. Those are 5 things that I'm going to be working on in 2021. And I encourage all of you to do the same and consider. And there may be other areas, it's not all homogenous or all inclusive, right? There are other areas that may be better suited for you. Those are kind of 5. And that's not an exhaustive list for me either. It's best believe there's other things I want to be able to work on too, right? To be just a little bit better. Remember, like I say on most of these episodes, we want to be a little bit better for ourselves, a little better for our families, a little better for our communities. And if we could do those things, we can all collectively make this place just a little bit better. It's going to be difficult to plan ahead for 2021. Make no bones about it. And again, a vaccine hitting the shelves is not going to be the tell-all be-all. Sometimes in America, we become a slave to, because we like that with, the way we handle healthcare. Do whatever the hell we want, and then there's going to be a pill for it, to mask the symptoms. All right. That's not going to be the case. That's not going to make all this go away. Okay. So individually, what are you going to focus on? How are you going to budget? How are you going to engage in flexibility, adaptability, being agile? How are you working your pipeline? How are you engaging, and how are you positioning yourself? And all of that personally and professionally. All right. I'm rooting for you all. I want to see everybody win. Communicate with me, Ron, at themybpodcast.com. I hope that something's been said today that helps, again, spark how you're going to progress forward as you go into 2021. And we'll be talking about this more. We'll talk about this with other guests as we go forward with the Minding Your Business podcast. And I'm really excited and looking forward to 2021, not just for myself and my family, but for all of you as well. So thank y'all so much for checking me out. Share this with some folks you think that would benefit from this podcast episode. And again, definitely communicate with me and check me out at champronbrooks.com. Excited for the webinar that we're having. We're totally sold out. Zoom only gives up to 100 people. And so we've got that packed for the real estate investing in 2021 webinar. That's Sunday, December the 27th at 4 p.m. Central. I'm going to come in again. You all know, if you know me and been rocking with me for some time, you know I speak from the heart. I don't have time for games or trying to make things look however they are. You're talking about a man with a wife and three girls, so ain't no, you dig, ain't no time for playing. I'm not giving much time to play in the house with all ladies. So I carry that personally and professionally. But thanks to all of you who have signed up. For those that didn't get a chance to sign up, I will be hosting subsequent webinars, and really the focus of this is to share with you the banking behind real estate investing, right? How to get access to private lenders, as well as how to get access to hard money lenders if you want to get involved in buy and hold real estate, or buy and kind of fix and flip type stuff. If you want to get involved in wholesaling, I'm gonna talk to you and share with you how you can do that. I'm gonna debunk the myth that's around no cash, no credit. One of those can be true. The other one is not. I'll share with you which one and why. Okay. So we're going to talk about all those different things. And I likely will have a special guest that's going to join in with that as part of the brief discussion with that. So I'm working on that as well. And there may be a surprise or two. You just never know. So for those that registered, make sure that you come, because you won't want to miss the information, number one, but you won't want to miss some of the surprises that are likely to pop up as well. And again, like I said, there'll be subsequent ones going forward. So the whole purpose of the webinar is, I want to be able to connect with some of you. I don't sell coaching classes and all that type of stuff. So I'm not getting, money from you up front to give you information. And then, no, I want to be able to work alongside with you to be able to do deals, and we can work on deals together to help build your confidence and build your business and let you see the process versus me telling you the process, or you logging into some platform to get information, and then you can't get in touch with me, and I'm going, I don't want to play that game. I want to do something a little bit different. And so I want to connect with a handful of you that are interested in getting involved. You don't have to change anything that you're doing. Right. Continue to do your business, continue to do your job, that sort of thing. But I want to be able to connect with you and do deal opportunities. And I want to put it's not just about the money and helping people make more money, but for those of you that want to help solve problems for other people and make money, of course, legal, moral, ethical in doing that, I want to be able to connect with you. So again, champronbrooks.com, and I'm looking forward to all of you that are going to be a part of that webinar again on Sunday, December the 27th at 4 p.m. Listen, Champron, the Minding Your Business podcast. This has been episode 228. Listen, you guys go be great, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.